Hello and welcome to Paris Craze. In this video, I would like to propose a DIY for a soft trunk, such as the Louis Vuitton soft trunk. Before I get started, I would like to point out some of the main characteristics of the soft trunk, such as the leather and chain strap with shoulder pad, leather trims, corner accents, and rivet detail. Some of these trunks come in a variety of colors. Sometimes creative directors will look at the archives of the brand and possibly bring back some of the most popular looks. I think this soft trunk is reminiscent of this bag. I think this trunk is reminiscent of this bag. The last couple of runways in the men's collection has seen some of the most unusual materials, however, such as the embossed leather, embroidered mesh. There's a style for every vibe. Whether black leather, tan leather, or natural vaqueta, Virgil Abloh has created the coolest and most eye-catching accessory. The soft trunk has definitely made its mark. In this particular DIY, I would like to go a little bit more traditional. If you happen to have these quality materials readily available, you may want to take on this journey. To create the body of this soft trunk, what I'm going to be using is a box, like this decorator's box that I bought at Hobby Lobby, and also this cutting mats, which you can typically find in any dollar store. The purpose of the box is really to create a sturdy base for the trunk, and so what I've done is I've already kind of cut this box by half, so I will be using this one piece as the base. That's really going to be like the backbone of this bag, and the rest of the body will be really behind the scenes, so to speak, will be this clear mat, which will be covered in the monogram canvas, as well as the final touches of the leather trims. So looking at examples of the soft trunk, I've kind of come up with a sketch to help me really anticipate what it could potentially look like. So if you can imagine this being done in the chopping mat material, and then the bottom here will be the wooden box. So that's going to be the base, and it's nice and flat and sturdy, not so heavy now that it's just one section of it. That should work nicely. Now this opening that you see here, this is where the zipper is going to be, and of course the entire body is going to be covered in the monogram canvas as well as the leather trims here. Based on those dimensions, I have already kind of marked the areas that are going to be the sides, the ends. So this is where part of the zipper is going to come down. So this is one side, and these are flaps that can be folded inward for the longer sides of the trunk. And this is just a mirror image of this particular section, so that's going to be the opposite side. Based on the sketch, this is the longer side of the trunk, as you can see here, and this is actually a section that's going to meet up with the sides that I just showed on the previous footage. What I would like to do with all of these is begin to cut them, cut off the material that I won't be using, and then what I would like to do is score the edges that are going to be folded, score it with a sewing machine, and that's going to help create sort of a sharper fold in these areas. Everything that needs to be folded will fold nicely that way. Okay guys, so everything that needed to be scored has been scored, especially in the sections that, for example, are going to be folded inward, or like the corners, places like that. Now what I would like to do is attach the sides all in a row before covering it in the monogram. In order to join these pieces side by side, I will be using double-sided tape in sections such as this and this. I could possibly also reinforce that by actually sewing the pieces together. Okay, so now the double-sided tapes. This is a pretty strong double-sided tape, which is very thin and clear. And now it has all been positioned in all the key places. Now I can attach all the pieces side by side. Okay, so here you can see all of the pieces joined together side by side. I think it'll be a lot easier to work with them flat in this way. Now the next step will be to cover each section in the monogram canvas, and then this sort of 3D cube, so to speak, will begin to take form. Then, as I mentioned before, this will be the base. Okay guys, so here is the plastic puzzle piece, so to speak, and it already has the two monogram sections attached. They're attached with a monogram, they're attached with a double-sided tape, but ideally it should be all stitched around to make sure that it's well secured. And then the trims in leather will be attached. Okay? And here's the wooden base, already with the monogram piece attached. So if you can imagine, the 3D form is going to attach all around this piece, creating the trunk itself. Okay, so aside from the monogram canvas, I'm planning on using the leather from this vintage leather skirt, which is very thin, very soft. It's excellent quality, probably European made, which is not necessarily any easier to sew. I will be using a conventional sewing machine, so the thin part helps, but layers of different materials is not always ideal. Now this will be the top of the soft trunk. It already has the leather accents that will be on the sides. So here we go. Okay, so in this stage I've added the lining. The inside, as you open it, has a side pocket as well. So in this stage I would like to attach the trims to specific areas of this form, and what I've done is I have marked exactly the half of the strip, the leather strip, so that when I attach it with this double-sided tape, at least will be even in a straight line, and then I can sew. I can sew the so it's going to be somewhat like that, and once it doesn't move from that place, I'll be able to do the stitching on the side. So this is what each side looks like, and it's ready for stitching. Okay, so this is one of the side panels. All the stitching is in place. In the next step, I think the best thing to do would be to attach the sides, so this end and the opposite end. I may have to stitch sections such as the ends here, not so much the sides. As you can imagine, once this becomes kind of a box without a lid, it's going to be very hard to access those various sides to sew in a conventional sewing machine. Okay, so at this stage, as you can see, it's beginning to take shape. The bottom is still missing, so I would like to add the hardware on the sides before I seal the bottom completely. Instead of the metal corners, I will be doing leather corners. I will be using a much sturdier leather. I thought this one was perfect for that. It's much thicker, and I really like the texture and look of it. This is what the corner looks like once it has been attached. As you can see, the stitching will be purely decorative. So this is the current stage of the trunk. As you can see, I've begun to apply the corners. So here you have the end result. I really like the way it turned out. I hope you enjoyed this DIY as much as I did. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and leave me your comments and constructive ideas. Please stay tuned for yet another project coming soon.